Artie, good to see you again. Appreciate all your investment in Ohio. And why don't you start out by just telling us what is Encino all about and a little bit about what you're doing in Ohio and where you're doing it in Ohio.
Sure. So Guy, thanks, and briefly thanks to the OBRT, to Pat and the whole staff for making this happen and for everybody showing up today. It's really an honor to be part of this group, much less on the stage. I'll introduce Encino a little bit. We are an oil and gas producing company who entered the state of Ohio in 2018. We bought the assets of a company you may remember called Chesapeake Energy. We invested about $2 billion to buy that business and came to Ohio really to try to turn around an oil and gas producing asset that had not performed very well prior to that time. That turned out to be a good bet. It was a bet on not just that asset, but also on the state of Ohio, which has been an incredibly supportive place to work and to develop a business. And we've built a real business now. After buying into the state for about $2 billion, we've grown our business now to where we're investing about $1 billion a year in drilling and completing new wells and taking new leases, building infrastructure, and growing our business. The result is we've kind of by any measure about tripled the size and value of the business. We've become the largest oil producer in the state, producing about half of the oil that's produced in Ohio every day now, and second biggest producer of natural gas. I could go on and on, but I'm pretty sure you're going to pull more of this out of me in the questions.
Sure. Your commitment to Ohio has been substantial. Its impact on my town, Mahoning Valley, has been substantial. Companies like Valorec that employs 1,000 people, several other companies that collectively employ thousands more. It's been very important to us. It's been very nice for us. Originally, though, what made Ohio attractive to you to come and lead Encino in Ohio? And a little bit more about how that has played out.
Sure. So we partnered, we had built an oil and gas company with some good technical and operating capabilities, and we partnered with one of the world's largest investors back in 2016, 2017 really, to go look for a big asset around which to build a new company. We had a long-term plan to do it sustainably and profitably at scale. And so with that kind of hunting license, a capital commitment from a really big investor and a team capable of doing these things, we looked all over the country, literally at every major oil and gas producing play in the country. And we kept coming back to the Ohio Utica. Part of it was situation specific. There was an asset that was available for sale, but bigger than that, it was the combination of just massive resource potential that remained unexploited and a state where I'd really kind of call it the culture, because it's not just the regulatory environment or the political environment, it's really the way the state approaches business that we became convinced would make it a really good place to do business. So that combination of massive resource potential and a really supportive environment made us comfortable ultimately investing a couple of $1 billion in the plan to go build a business here.
So that comment about Ohio and its business friendliness, you think about Jobs Ohio and how we rank compared to other states, it's very high. So Ohio excites me. Of course, I'm a Buckeye, born and raised. I'm biased, but I'm proud of Ohio's business friendliness, proud of Ohio's championship sports teams, and I know you're a big football fan. And Jimmy Go Browns. I'm a lifelong Browns fan. But what excites you about leading Encino in Ohio? And as the energy landscape has changed, has your approach to leadership changed at all?
Yeah, for sure. I guess I can't resist that Ohio Buckeyes comment. You guys deserve a lot of credit for a hell of a football season. I'm a UT Longhorn, and we didn't do quite as well. It felt like we might, but I'm still hurting from that one a little bit, and we have a little rematch coming up this fall. But as I mentioned last night, while we like to say everything's bigger in Texas, I can honestly say sometimes everything's better in Ohio. Look, things have changed a lot. Leading a business here is exciting and energizing, but it's remarkable to reflect on how much it's changed in the last 7 years. When we came in and for our first few years here, it felt like on kind of a national and international scale, we were in kind of a bunker mentality. Our industry was being vilified and attacked kind of at every level. And frankly, we bought an asset that our industry had sort of written off as non-viable. So we were the dumb guys buying a big asset in an industry that nobody wanted. That wasn't that much fun. But we kind of got to have gotten to progress from that sort of bunker mentality to one where, it feels like not just the state of Ohio, but really to an increasing degree the world is embracing the importance, as Mary Ann expressed it, of energy security, of that availability and reliability of energy and affordability. And that makes leadership really easy when you get the weight of most of the world behind what you're doing, and you realize you're contributing to that on a scale here in Ohio that really moves the needle globally.
I've heard a lot, since we started about an hour ago about talent, and, everybody in this room can attest there's a fierce competition for talent at all of the companies. Certainly energy is no different in that industry. What is Encino doing to attract and develop Ohio's future talent in the energy industry?
It's a good question. I think for me it starts, I referred to the culture of Ohio earlier, and I think culture is super important. For us as a company, we define that through a stated set of core values, which are results, innovation, ownership, transparency, and sustainability. And every one of those is sort of interlinked and equally important. That culture sort of defines whom we recruit and how we try to develop that workforce. We tend to recruit from inside the state, and every chance we get, we tend to recruit for a new position from within the company, from our existing staff, and we really focus on developing people. We provide world-class benefits as another way to signal that we really value our people, not just our assets. So from a development and retention perspective, that's critical. This is not Texas in terms of the huge labor pool in the energy industry, and so we work actively with OBRT, with Jobs Ohio, and with our local chambers to try to develop more talent within the state. So that as the energy industry continues to grow here, there is a talent pool available for it. We employ almost 200 people, so the majority of our employees are here in Ohio, but our activity is such that really our indirect employment extends to about 10,000 people. And that culture we try to extend to those contractors. So as an example, our safety record is sort of top of the industry, and that permeates all the way through to our contractors. We can track statistically how safe our contractors are on our sites, and they're top of the U.S. oil and gas industry.
So we talked a lot about job creation. Are there aspects to Encino's impact on Ohio that go beyond job creation?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's on a lot of different levels there are. We not only, I think, create the economic benefit of all that employment, but as an example, just in the 7 years since we took over operations, we've paid about $2.25 billion of royalties to landowners primarily in southeastern Ohio, an area where that moves the needle economically in a very big way, and again has kind of a multiplier effect. Traditionally we have sent a lot of our products to end users in the state, including to Marathon and their refineries. But we've also sent a lot of it out of state on pipelines to the Gulf Coast or to Canada, even to markets overseas. And I think going forward, we expect, particularly with the recent energy legislation that's passed here in the state, to develop a lot bigger markets in the state of Ohio. So I think we're going to have a much bigger impact locally going forward.
Okay. And I can also attest that your philanthropic impact has been significant. I think $3 million since 2019 and thousands of volunteer hours, and we feel that in our community as well, so I want to thank you for that. Absolutely. Let's talk about technology. Your industry has changed rapidly. I know there was a play in the Utica Shale in 2010. It died down. Technology, I think, has made a big difference in coming back and having another Utica Shale play. So how's technology and what's Encino's approach to technology?
Sure. I mean, we view as I said, innovation is sort of our word for technology as a core value, and it's part of sustainability. You can't be sustainable if you're not profitable. In our business, if you're not driving down costs every day and getting more productive, then you're not going to stay in business. That's not sustainable. And so to do all the things we do, we've embraced technology. Honestly, the way we got into Ohio was writing machine learning software in-house that enabled us to evaluate oil and gas plays all over the country using previously unmanageable quantities of data to identify where the opportunity was. We did that, we found the opportunity, we addressed it. We used that same software and new versions of it, frankly, to optimize our operations every year. We drill close to 100 wells at close to $15 million a copy, and so your opportunity to destroy or create value with that kind of capital investment is driven largely by whether you're getting iteratively better or worse. So big data, machine learning is one end of the spectrum. The other is, this is amazing, but we're using AI-driven rotary steerable drilling technology now to drill, call it 7,000 to 8,000 feet below the surface, and then turn horizontally and go 4 miles, and we can hit at a 4-mile lateral underground target the size of that screen 99% of the time.
Wow.
That is impressive, but what it drives is just incredible well productivity, and given that we can do that in about a week, the costs are getting really, really low. So technology is a big part of what we do.
That's great to hear. Let's fast forward, let's say 10 years. Hardy Murchison looks back at the impact Encino made on Ohio. What do you want that impact to be?
I think fundamentally sort of leave it better than we found it. That's a pretty broad statement. But I think we've already helped put the state of Ohio back on the energy map as an oil producer, for instance. This was really pretty much a gas-producing state with a long ago history of oil production. Well, we've turned that around and put it on a real growth path on a scale that matters nationwide. I think this notion that we can be a part of developing the overall Ohio economy is a big one. I think we have a chance to contribute in a very material way as we grow in markets for new high-tech manufacturing, data centers, more end uses like refineries and their expansions, the terminals and infrastructure that are required to handle all this oil production, such that we have a bigger impact on the state and are a big contributor to long-term prosperity that's sustainable in the state of Ohio.
So go back to technology for a moment. Let's talk about safety. It's always a concern, and we're always having to tamp down concerns about safety. How much different is it, and just how safe is the industry?
Well, I'd said it's basically a lot safer than it ever was in the past. And I think that's important to distinguish between the oil industry of 50 years ago and the oil industry of today. Since we took over operations, we've had a number of accomplishments. We've had literally no spills outside of the containment around our wells in our 7 years of operating. That's virtually unheard of in our industry in prior eras. We've just completed 2 years and counting now with no employee recordable incidents. That's something that none of us has ever seen before. That extends to our contractors, as I said, where their safety metrics now rank among the best of anybody in the industry, and the industry itself is far better than it's ever been before. We've been proudly the only recipient among oil and gas companies of the Ohio EPA's Environmental Excellence Award, which is really just another way of recognizing what we committed to when we came to the state, which was to do things right and think about not just profitability and power, but also the water, the people, the land, and how we have to be stewards of those things to have a license to operate.
Well, congratulations on the Ohio EPA award. It was very exciting to see that a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I heard Pat mention Kimberly-Clark, which is building a factory in the Mahoning Valley. I heard Alpha Gen talk about a couple the power plants that are in the Mahoning Valley, both multi-billion dollars. I don't think that happens without the industry and companies like Encino and leaders like you, Hardy. So thank you very much for everything you're doing for Ohio.
Well, thanks. And it certainly doesn't happen without a supportive industry and government and culture. Ohio is doing better than just about any other state in the union, I think.
Great to hear.
Thanks, Guy.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.